film a couple short videos that we're going to be releasing which explain a few of Krav Maga basics. We're going to start with stances, and then we're going to move on to a couple other techniques. We're going to explain not only how we do it, but why we do it. The Krav Maga stance, and we don't call it a fighting stance, particularly for one reason, is that this is a fighting stance, or walking into some sort of boxing style stance where you're bladed, or some sort of fancy kung fu stance. It takes time, and it limits your options. In Krav Maga, our stance is called a regular outlet stance or a forward outlet stance. That gives us options, either a fighting option or a defensive option or a mobility option. The stance is feet shoulder width apart. Right leg back if you're right-handed. If you're left-handed, it's going to be the reverse. The feet shoulder width apart, right leg back, back heels off the ground slightly, just enough to slide a piece of paper under it. Knees are bent, hips, shoulders are aligned, and hands are out. This is the stance. My elbows are in. My hands are not here. I'm not wearing boxing gloves. I can't protect myself. I want to anticipate the attack at a distance where I can still defend. My hands are not facing out here. They are here. My left leg is farthest out, so my left hand's going to be farther out. My elbow stays in. My hands are in front of my shoulder. My feet are slightly turned inwards. Not too much. I'm not bladed and turned all the way around. This limits the mobility of my hips. And all the punches and kicks and maneuvers, defensive maneuvers, come from the mobility of the hips. The beauty of the stance is that it's my natural walking stance. I'm walking, I'm in my fighting stance or my outlet stance. I am not walking and then getting in some sort of stance. Walking stride. Amy, the founder of Krav Maga, would say you never had the choice of how you're going to end up when you have to fight. So if I'm walking and my right leg's forward, I fight out of my opposite stance. We have to become ambidextrous as Krav Maga fighters. If I land forward, I'm here. If I have to attack out of that, it is natural. I'm walking and I kick and I fight. I don't have to adapt to a stance. My stance is my natural walking stride, it's my natural standing position, adapted with optimal balance, maneuverability, walking backwards, forward, right, left. The power of the hips, the torque for the punches is generated by the hips. The torque of the hips generates the power of the kicks. Front kick, round right punch, left hook, right hook, left uppercut, right uppercut, elbows. It all comes from the hips. If you are bladed, you lose that torque of the hips. You have to generate power in other ways. And the round kick comes from so far back that it's tail-grabbed. Secondly, it puts the lead leg out to be hit. In the early days of MMA, you had boxers come in boxing stances, and kickboxers would just take out that lead leg. Or wrestlers would just take it out with a single leg. So having a square stance with your hips on facing your opponent at all times gives you more options for defense, blocking kicks, power in your punches, left, right, maneuverability. That is exactly why we call it an outlet stance and not a fighting stance. Because it gives us the options of defense, offense, speed, and maneuverability. So I'm standing naturally. It's our neutral stance, meaning feet, hands are all in alignment. One is not farther than the other. I have general outlet stance, or forward outlet stance, feet shoulder width apart, right leg back, elbows are in, hands are off, ready to be able to attack if need be. We also have a stance in which we draw the attack that we prefer from our attacker. So, Justin. My hands are here. He now has the option to punch straight or to go to the outside. So I have to kind of read his attack, inside or outside. If my hands are here, and now I bring him in to occupy the center line, so one hand is occupying the center line, the backhand is occupying the center line, he's not going to punch through the center line. So I'm drawing the attack, which is an outside attack, and I can do the defense that I prefer. In fencing, it's called attack by drawing. I'm drawing the specific attack that I want so that I can use the defense that I want. So this turns into this. Now I limit the attacks that my opponent's going to throw. So now I know I only have to concentrate on my one defense. So that is our inside, it's our outside drawing, stance. So I know which attack's going to come into play. Secondly, the attacker's to my side. I'm standing naturally. The opponent is on my side. The threat is on my side. I don't have time to turn and face him, so I have a forward outlet stance. So we have side outlet stance. Side outlet stance is our feet in neutral standing position. My hands go up. It's the exact same stance I was in here, except now I'm facing the side. So now I can protect myself if the opponent throws any punches, and if I have to engage the opponent, my hands are already up there to protect myself. Side outlet stance also comes into play when the opponent is behind you. When I need to throw my back kick, I have to protect myself in case he's throwing a counter punch. My head is not exposed. So the hands come up in side outlet stance, and then I kick, and then I can turn and engage my attacker. So, forward outlet stance, side outlet stance. Side outlet stance when the opponent is behind you. But remember, that is the beauty of Krav Maga. That is not a fighting stance. It is an outlet stance. I'm walking, my hands are up, I'm fighting. Now, even if I was standing naturally, just like this, and I feel there's danger, some sort of threat, my feet go back, they're already slightly in place. I bring my hands up into my fighting stance. My heel is off the ground, ready to move forward, putting pressure on the ball of my foot, ready to explode forward so that my balance is not pushed back. That is the Krav Maga stance. It is natural, and it gives me a wide variety of options. It does not limit my options, and it is not something that you have to learn or kind of conform to. So when you're training with instructors that try to tweak that and try to limit your mobility or limit your defenses or attacks, then it's not a Krav Maga stance. Because Amy designed it so that it wasn't a stance, so that it was natural, so that you're walking, and now you're in your stance, so that you're relaxed, so that your humerus is hanging down and not being aided by the muscles that hold the muscle up, hold the humerus up. As soon as the humerus starts to go horizontal, all of a sudden all your shoulder muscles are coming into play. And now you start getting fatigued, you start getting tired. So as soon as your hands are being held up, you're doing much more work. So when the humerus is hanging down, the body is relaxed. You're not using muscle and strength. If you feel like you're in danger and you have to bring it up, that's fine. But from here, you're not using your muscles. You're relaxed. You're hanging down. The strength, the muscle arms are being held up by the bones and not by the muscles. So that's why you're here. All right? Any questions? No? Thanks.